Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel SS Analysis. First of all, I would like to tell you that if you are watching this video first time, subscribe my channel to see my more upcoming videos on analysis of different commodities and equity indices. And second important thing is to watch this video till its end to understand this solely to take your decision. Your work will motivate me to be regular and working more hard for you. So let's start the day to analyze the movements of natural gas futures in different time frames. So today I am starting to analyze the movements of natural gas futures with a monthly chart. Why I am saying so? That because the moves of the natural gas futures have become larger than expected, so it has become necessary to have a deeper knowledge about the moves and the levels from where the natural gas futures take a sharp turn. So in case of a sharp U-turn, we'll have to have a knowledge about the resistance and support levels. So here I have pointed out major psychological resistance and the secondary resistances and the supports where the natural gas futures have been finding support and resistance from a long time. So we'll have to have a look at the journey of natural gas futures from a long time back when the natural gas futures tested the levels of $1.7 in October 2001 after falling from the levels of $10 what they tested during the month of December 2000, and from here you can see that how the next move was there during the month of January 2001 when the natural gas futures tested the lowest $9.832, from where a sharp slide was there, and constantly the natural gas futures continued to move downward up to these lows during the month of September 2001. So here you can see that how volatile moves we have seen during the past many years when the natural gas futures have tested a lifetime high at the 15.782 during the month of December 2005. So here you can see that how the natural gas futures found some resistance here amid this journey. So here you can see that how the natural gas futures breached the psychological resistance many times and found support in case of a sharp downward move. Psychological resistance turns into a psychological support whenever natural gas futures find a breakout above these psychological resistances, but when it falls, these psychological resistance sometimes provide a strong support to natural gas futures, as here you can see that how the natural gas futures found strong support at the psychological support at $4 and once again started to bounce back here, back up to the next psychological resistance at $9. So here you can see that how a secondary resistance was there before the psychological resistance at 9. I have pointed out some secondary resistances before a psychological resistance. So here I have pointed out some psychological resistance from $3 to $16 and the secondary resistances where you can see that how the natural gas futures have behaved amid these resistance zones. So friends, here you can see that how the natural gas futures tested a high during the month of November 2018 when it tested the levels of $4.929 during the month of November 2018, but just during the next month, in the month of December 2018, there was a sharp fall in natural gas futures when the natural gas futures once again attempted to test the levels of $4.659 but could not find a breakout above this level, and this fall continued during the whole month. But the natural gas futures continued to slide during the month of December up to the levels of $2.933. So friends, this was a steep slide. Once again, the natural gas futures found a steep upward move back up to the levels of $3.688. So here you can see that how the natural gas futures attempted this level during the month of January 2019, but a sharp sell-off was there during that month, which resulted in formation of an exhaustive candle in a monthly chart, which was followed by a steep slide during the following months when the natural gas futures finally tested a low during the month of August 2019 at the levels of $1.989, where the psychological support at $2 provided a strong buying support to natural gas futures. And the natural gas futures once again started to move upward, but once again found the next psychological resistance at $3 and started to move downward, and this time the natural gas futures could not defend the psychological support at $2 and continued to slide downward up to the levels of 1.4 what it tested during the month of May 2020. Friends, here you can see that how the natural gas futures once again started an uptrend in the month of June 2020 from the levels of 1.423, and this uptrend continued well above the second psychological resistance at $3, and the natural gas futures found some resistance at the levels of 3.392 during the month of October 2020, and once again bearish pressure was there which continued to keep natural gas futures below the psychological support at $3, but the natural gas futures constantly tried to breach this immediate psychological resistance at $3 for many months during the year 2021. The natural gas futures continued to breach this immediate psychological resistance at $3 but could not, and finally the natural gas futures found a breakout during the month of May 2021 and continued this rally when the natural gas futures finally tested a 7-year peak at the 5.644. So here you can see that how we have seen a sharp sell-off from there during this month and finally closed this week at the levels of 5.174 when the natural gas futures have been currently showing some strength well above the levels of 4.983. So friends, here I find that the immediate support for natural gas futures is at the levels of 4.983 and the secondary support is at the levels of 4.929. So friends, here I find that if the natural gas futures start the upcoming week with a gap down opening below the levels of 4.931, we could find a sharp downward move where the immediate support can be seen at the levels of 4.390, but I find that a big down below this level could push the natural gas futures to test the levels of 4 where the natural gas futures could find a sharp bouncing move from here, but here I find that if the natural gas futures sustain well above the levels of 5.2, then only we can expect a breakout above the previous high at $5.6 because this is a secondary resistance level below the psychological resistance at $6. So friends, here I find that the natural gas futures will have to struggle a lot to test the next psychological resistance at $6 because this is a secondary resistance level for natural gas futures in a monthly time frame where the natural gas futures even could not cross the levels of 5.7, which is a secondary psychological resistance for natural gas futures in a monthly time frame. So friends, here I find that in an upward move the natural gas futures will have to sustain above the secondary psychological resistance during the upcoming week, where I find that if the natural gas futures are not able to hold above the levels of 5.644, a sharp slide could continue because here I find that this trend is still bearish because the hurricane season is about to over. Friends, now let's check the current position of Atlantic Sea. So friends, here you can see that how country the tropical storm Teresa is here and Hurricane Sam is here, which is supposed to remain in this area, which could have hardly any impact over here. But here I find that this area could see a sharp decrease in natural gas demand, but the changing weather from cooler to warmer could propel the demand. Therefore, we have seen a sharp bounce in natural gas prices during the last week, and third tropical disturbance is here which could remain in this area. So here I don't find any major tropical disturbance or any hurricane is here in the Gulf of Mexico. So friends, here I find that during the upcoming week the natural gas futures could remain extremely volatile, and the first attempt of the natural gas bulls will be to defend the immediate psychological support at $5. But here I find that if the natural gas futures start the upcoming week with a gap down opening, we could see the natural gas futures to drag down back up to the levels of $4.8, and here I find that a breakdown below the levels of $4.8 could keep the natural gas futures under heavy selling pressure, where the natural gas futures could test the levels of $4.5 during the upcoming week, and on the upper side the natural gas futures could test the levels of $5.5, where the natural gas bulls could have an immediate target. But I don't find that natural gas bulls could try to retest the recent high at the levels of $5.644, because just above that the secondary psychological resistance is here at the levels of $5.710, and the main psychological resistance is at the levels of 6. So friends, now let's check this move in a weekly time frame. Hope most of you have already seen this analysis in a weekly time frame. Here you can see that how the natural gas futures found the formation of an exhaustive candle in a weekly time frame during the last week, but during this week the formation of a bullish candle in a weekly time frame looks evident enough to retest these highs once again, because here I have already explained that why I constructed this zone, because here you can see that how the natural gas futures repeated the moves of 2018 in 2021, where exactly they tested the area what I have marked here up to the upper end of this zone. The natural gas futures have already tested during the last week. It tested a high at the levels of $5.644 and a low at the levels of $4.894. So friends, here I find that the immediate support is at the levels of 4.931. So here I find that a breakdown below the levels of 4.931 could keep the natural gas futures under heavy bearish pressure, where the second support can be seen at the levels of 4.831, and the final support will be at the levels of 4.7, where a breakdown below this level could push the natural gas futures towards the levels of 4.577, and the final support will be at the levels of 4.2. So friends, here I find that the natural gas futures could remain extremely volatile if the natural gas futures find a breakout or a breakdown out of this trading range during the upper week. But the main focus could be on the major trading zone, which is currently from the levels of $4.831 to the $5.592. So friends, here I find that if the natural gas futures are not able to hold above the levels of the 5.592, once again the natural gas futures could find sharp selling from these levels. But here I find that if the natural gas futures find a system move well above the secondary psychological resistance at the levels of the 5.726, then only the natural gas futures could test the next psychological resistance at $6. But here I find that this could be a strong selling zone. But here I find that any system move above the levels of the 5.726 could attract big bears to go short from here, because there is no fundamental reason for natural gas futures to sustain well above these levels. So friends, now let's check this move with the help of HMO Cloud. So friends, here I have already explained that the 9 days moving average is currently at the levels of the 4.692. So friends, here I find that in case of a sharp downward move during the upcoming week, the natural gas futures could find a strong support at the 9 days moving average, which is currently at the levels of the 4.692, and the second support will be at the levels of the 4.052, where the 26 days moving average will continue to provide strong support. So friends, now let's check this move in a daily time frame. So friends, here you can see that how the natural gas futures have found a strong support here just above the 26 days moving average, but currently found a closing well below the 9 days moving average, which looks evident enough for a decisive move on the first trading session of the upcoming week. So friends, here I find that if the natural gas futures start the upcoming week well above the levels of $5.263, then only we can expect a volatile move up to the levels of $5.635, where this level could provide a stiff resistance to natural gas futures, from where once again the natural gas futures could take a nosedive move during the upcoming week, where I find that a breakdown below the psychological support at $5 could keep the natural gas futures under heavy selling pressure, where the natural gas futures once again try to retest these supports during the upcoming week. So friends, here during the upcoming week, the natural gas futures could remain extremely volatile, where I find that the natural gas futures could find a breakdown or a breakout out of this range. So thank you friends, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to share this video with your more and more friends. Thank you.